In the high-stakes world of international trade, politicians are often forced into the type of delicate dance where the smallest misstep can have profound consequences. Sir Keir Starmer's frantic attempt to shield the UK economy from Donald Trump's Liberation Day tariffs is no exception. His hasty concessions, meant to avert the economic wreckage caused by Trump's proposed 10 to 20% tariffs on British goods, might protect a few sectors in the short term but will ultimately hobble British industries and alienate the very people his government is supposed to protect. Starmer's panic is palpable, and with good reason. The US is the UK's biggest export market, and the looming tariffs threaten to disrupt not just trade but the entire economic fabric of the nation. Yet his strategy, cutting taxes for US tech giants and potentially opening the door to weakened agricultural standards, doesn't just misread the situation. It panders to foreign interests at the expense of the UK's most vulnerable industries and workers. It is not a solution, it is a capitulation. Let's begin with Starmer's proposal to offer significant tax cuts for American tech giants like Amazon and Apple. The UK's Digital Services Tax, DST, was already a modest attempt to level the playing field, ensuring that colossal US corporations paid their fair share of taxes in the UK. It generates £800 million annually, a relatively small sum, but one that's crucial to maintaining public services and welfare. Yet now Starmer is ready to slash this tax, pandering to Silicon Valley billionaires in the hope of avoiding punitive tariffs on UK exports. This isn't just a poor political calculation, it's an insult to the very people whose livelihoods are threatened by this deal. Lowering taxes on Amazon and Apple only serves to make the rich richer, while shifting the financial burden onto ordinary Britons. Those who are already struggling with cuts to public services, rising living costs, and a welfare system in tatters will bear the brunt of this appeasement. The argument that Starmer is trying to avoid a trade war with Trump's administration does not hold water. The Liberal Democrats have made their position clear. Appeasement doesn't work with bullies, and that's exactly what Trump is. By bending over backwards to accommodate his demands, Starmer risks weakening the UK's economic sovereignty. He is sacrificing Britain's interests to curry favour with an unpredictable and belligerent US president, in the hope that it might forestall a few tariffs on steel or cars. But in doing so, he is making Britain's own economy weaker, shifting tax burdens away from multinational giants and onto those who can least afford it. Furthermore, Starmer's apparent willingness to negotiate away agricultural standards is deeply troubling. The proposal to ease tariffs on American meat imports is a clear concession to the US in exchange for better market access for UK exports. On the surface, this might seem like a pragmatic approach. After all, we must find ways to sell more British goods in the US. But at what cost? The UK has long prided itself on its high food safety standards, which prohibit practices like chlorinated chicken, a cornerstone of American agriculture. Now, Starmer is willing to compromise these standards for the sake of a trade deal. This isn't just about trade, it's about selling out British agriculture and weakening consumer protections. Farmers, already reeling from the pressure of inheritance tax changes, will see their livelihoods jeopardized by cheaper, lower-quality imports. Starmer may claim to be negotiating in good faith, but the National Farmers Union is right to call out this one-sided deal. If the US gets preferential treatment, the UK's agricultural industry will suffer. The risks are even greater than Starmer seems willing to acknowledge. A trade war with the US will have repercussions far beyond tariffs. Analysts at Goldman Sachs warn that the UK's GDP will take a bigger hit than expected, even with a deal in place. Tariffs on steel, aluminium, and vehicles are already pushing the economy into precarious territory. Add to this the uncertainty of strained supply chains, reduced trade volumes, and potential long-term damage to UK exports, and it becomes clear that Starmer's plan is more about political optics than real economic recovery. By failing to recognize the broader ramifications of Trump's tariffs, Starmer is playing a dangerous game of appeasement that will ultimately leave the UK exposed and weakened on the global stage. It's not just an economic risk, it's a moral one. If Starmer continues down this path of yielding to Trump's demands, he risks alienating the very voters who put him in power. Working-class families who are already struggling to make ends meet will see little benefit from these backroom deals. In fact, they will bear the brunt of the pain, as cuts to public services and rising inequality worsen. Meanwhile, big tech firms will reap the rewards, further entrenching their monopoly power and contributing to the erosion of trust in government. This is a classic case of the political elite serving the interests of the powerful few, while ordinary people suffer the consequences. Starmer's strategy of appeasing the US by weakening the UK's economic foundations is a catastrophic miscalculation. The time for panic-driven concessions has passed. The UK must stand firm on its values, whether in trade negotiations or in protecting its domestic industries. Starmer's approach will not save the UK from Trump's tariffs. It will only serve to deepen the divide between the political class and the people they claim to serve. It's time for a leadership that understands the stakes and refuses to compromise on the principles that matter most.